I remember the day I left home like it was etched into my soul, like a scar that refused to fade. I was just a kid then, full of fire and foolish hope, standing in the kitchen while my family's laughter echoed behind me. They called me crazy, an idiot, a dreamer who'd never amount to anything. My mother shook her head, eyes filled with disappointment, while my father sneered, telling me I was wasting my life chasing some ridiculous fantasy. They said I'd fail, that I was an embarrassment, a disgrace to everything they stood for. But I couldn't listen. I couldn't stay. That day, I packed my bags, left that house of contempt, and vowed to prove them wrong, no matter how long it took, no matter how hard it was. I was going to become a painter, a creator who poured his soul onto canvas, who refused to be silenced by their mockery. Oh, the journey was brutal. I faced rejection after rejection, galleries turning me down, critics dismissing my work as childish, friends questioning my sanity. The nights were long, filled with doubts and tears, but I kept pushing. Every brushstroke was a silent scream, every failure a lesson carved into my flesh. I worked tirelessly, sacrificing everything, relationships, stability, sleep, because I knew deep down this was my calling. Years turned into a decade. I poured my heart into every piece, building a reputation slowly but surely. I started gaining recognition, my paintings capturing raw emotion, haunting beauty, stories no one dared to tell. Slowly, the world took notice. I sold my first piece for more than I'd ever seen in my life. Then the next. Then exhibitions, awards, and finally a breakthrough. My work was celebrated internationally. And I did it all without their approval, without their support. I built my empire with sweat, tears, and an unbreakable belief in myself. I became someone they mocked, someone they dismissed as a fool, and yet I kept my head down, driven by the knowledge that I was destined for something greater. Then, one day, everything changed. I was invited back to my hometown, an exhibit featuring my work, a recognition both humbling and overwhelming. I stepped onto that stage, clutching my award, feeling the weight of years of struggle, rejection, and relentless pursuit. But what I didn't expect was to see them there, my family, faces lined with disbelief, eyes wide with a mixture of shame and awe. They had come not to support me, but to witness firsthand what their derision had failed to crush. The man I had become. I approached them, my voice steady but charged with emotion. Remember when you told me I'd never make it? When you called me an embarrassment? I looked into their eyes, those same eyes that once mocked my dreams. Look at me now. I turned slowly, gesturing to the gallery of my paintings behind me. Colors alive, stories told, emotions laid bare. I saw their jaws tighten, their faces pale. The silence was deafening. Then my mother broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "We were wrong. We never believed in you because we were afraid. You were chasing something we couldn't understand." My father looked away, silent, but I saw the flicker of regret in his eyes. I felt the weight of all those years of pain. of being dismissed and ridiculed dissolved in a single moment of truth. In that instant, I realized something profound. Their mockery had been their own fear. Fear of my difference, of my passion. It was their failure to see that true strength isn't measured by approval, but by resilience, to follow your own path despite the world's doubts. I stepped closer, placing a hand on my mother's shoulder. This isn't just about me. It's about everyone who's ever been told they're too weird, too different, too ambitious. You have to believe in yourself, even when no one else does. That's the only way to truly succeed. The room filled with a quiet understanding. My success was no longer just mine. It was proof that perseverance, unwavering belief, and authenticity can shatter even the deepest doubts. Years later, I sit in my studio, surrounded by the paintings that once seemed impossible, now symbols of victory. I've become what I always knew I could be, an artist who transforms pain into beauty, failure into triumph. And in doing so, I've inspired others to chase their dreams, to stand tall against the tide of rejection. Because here's the truth I've learned. The greatest triumph isn't just in reaching your destination, but in transforming your scars into your greatest strength. And sometimes, the universe has a way of delivering justice in the most poetic, unforgettable ways. So if you're out there, doubted and dismissed, remember this. Your dreams are worth fighting for. The world may mock you, but your resilience will outlast their doubts. Keep going. Because one day, they'll witness your rise, and the silence that follows will be the loudest affirmation of all. And that, my friend, is the real victory.